Now, finally, we're getting to our big debate about this academy school in Cambridgeshire where teachers have gone on strike over what they say are draconian behaviour policies, such as
giving pupils detention if they repeatedly forget to take a pen. Well, the school in question, St Ivo Academy in St Ives, released the following statement. They say, obviously, it's disappointing that the strike action is going ahead, particularly so given that we do not recognise many of the claims being made about our school. St Ivo has become a calm, purposeful and inclusive school which values academic endeavour and scholarship.
Baha.
So, do the striking teachers have a point, or do they need to toughen up? Well, we're joined now by maths teacher and broadcaster Bobby Seagull, as well as the broadcaster Claire Muldoon. Claire, let me come to you first as a parent. When you hear about a school toughening up the rules, getting the kids to quite literally pull up their socks, do you support that vision?
Absolutely, and I'd say brava and bravo. This is why are people now so frightened of the word discipline? God. In fact, these teachers are now striking because they say that they use the word draconian values like not forgetting forgetting your pen, too many toilet trips, this, that, and the next thing. Don't they realise that by repeatedly forgetting your tools of your trade, then you wouldn't even be working in the workplace? These kids need to remember that if they do forget something, they will be punished. But they can't. Why can't they see the benefit of becoming prepared, being resilient, being intelligent enough to respect discipline, respect their teachers, respect their fellow pupils, and indeed respect the rules of the schools? And let's not forget, Bev, that if you are a parent who is applying to a school, it's almost like a contract. You want your child to go there, you accept the rules and regulations because probably that's part and parcel of the reason of your child and you wanting your child to be there. Can't you see that it actually underpins and helps the staff to educate your child appropriately?
So that they behave. Bobby, part of the reason these teachers are striking for 5 days, they're taking a whole 5 days off when kids have already missed so much education, is because the teachers themselves have been told to dress in a professional manner, leave the jogging pants at home and the trainers, get a suit on and set an example. What do you make of the teachers walking away and saying, no, I'm not doing it?
So I think the reality is, I think the majority of teachers will probably dress professionally for the environment. But I think the issue in this school in particular is that teachers weren't consulted on these new draconian measures. And of course,
why do you say it's draconian? What's draconian about saying to kids mustn't forget their pens?
Exactly.
It's not draconian.
In this particular school, the same punishments are apparently handed out for forgetting a pen to deliberate vandalism. So again, as a teacher, you need discretion. There needs to be a sliding scale. Of course, if a child repeatedly forgets a pen, they should be sanctioned. But if someone breaks a desk or someone forgets a pen, they're not the same two punishments. So I think it's, again, in this particular school, parents have come out and said, actually, they feel as if this punishment-focused environment actually makes the students live in fear. And again, we want young people to be in an environment...
Bobby, they shouldn't be living in fear if they come equipped. They know the rules.
Yeah,
they know the rules, and in fact, some of the staff from this school have actually articulated this point, thus that it actually undermines them as teachers. It actually undermines their ability to discipline the children within their classes. This is an absolutely abhorrent point of view. What are the children in this school picking up from this? What are they learning from this? They are learning that if you don't like something, 5 days on strike. There we go. What is it? Christmas time? Do the staff need to go for Christmas shopping? Is that why they've got the time off? No. Become appropriately dressed, wear uniforms. But these sanctions, Bobby, actually give parity. They actually across the board, and it is equal for all.
Go on, Bobby.
Yeah, again, I think obviously strikes are always meant to be the sort of measure of last resort. And I think if I was the academy chain, the head teachers running this organization, they need to consult teachers. And again, in any school, whenever you change anything, whether you add new year groups or you add a new building, there's always a consultation process. And at the end of it, if there are teachers that think it's not the right environment for me, they move on. But in this case, it feels like, again, from reading as an external person, the school imposed these rules on everyone, the staff and the students, and said, this is a new system. So maybe it's a case of management of communication of the issue. Because, again, I know that as a teacher, I don't want an ill-disciplined class, but also I want the discretion to manage things. Again, if a child makes a one-off forgetting of a pen, it will be very tough to get them, say, 1 hour detention. Whereas if a child is
Bobby, you're minimising it, because it's actually been said it was repeated missing of pens, and that's just one small element of it. We've got schools now. My children went to very, very good, strict schools in London, and they weren't. My son wasn't allowed to run around. They walked in the cloisters in silence. I mean, all of this adds to personal integrity. This discipline is key. That's what, I mean, I now define people post oat milk and before oat milk, because I can guarantee a lot of the Gen Zers out there didn't even know there was a time change, because everything is digital.
One of the things that, one of the measures, Bobby, that the teachers are looking for, this is what the head is looking for, the teachers are rebelling against. Silence in the corridors at all times. Pupils sitting in rows, even in the drama lessons, and having the same punishments for everything, as you say, from forgetting a pen to deliberate vandalism. Why is it, do you think, that the teachers feel they're allowed to rebel against their head? I mean, you say they should be consulted on this. Well, I don't necessarily agree. And I think that if the head of that school wants to show leadership, they shouldn't feel the need to go to the teachers and say, I'd quite like to make the kids behave themselves. Are you all right with that? You know, unfortunately, schools aren't particularly democratic in that response. And in fact, a very good leader will tell the staff what they need to do. How do they fix this now in this school? Because as Claire says, you're giving a terrible message to the children about the fact that if you don't want to do something, then just walk out.
But in the real world, if we're not happy with something, again, if you're a train worker or if you work for a different organisation, you leave, you walk with your feet. And again, I expect teachers in this organisation, if they're not happy with the way they as staff are being treated, they'll walk to the school next door or down the street. And I think, again, even simple things like the policies like silence in corridors, I think you do need orderly, managed corridors. But silence, I think, doesn't reflect the real world, because young people, when they enter the world of work, when they go to work in office and parliament, whatever they do, they have an environment where there's respect and agreement, but you're not walking around in silence. You're not sitting.
Bobby, how many young prepubescent teenagers,
I think they're not trying to find a balance. It's a balance, because in the real world, it's not just like, either 1 or 0. Find a balance where there's discipline, but not like, again, the draconian type measure.
It's not draconian. Please stop using language like that. It just sends out the wrong message.
Do you think that reflects the real world? Do you think in Parliament or in a NHS?
I don't think our Parliament reflects the real world at all.
What we're going to do now, we're going to bring the panel in here, because we've got Emma Woolf, who is spitting tax to my left, and Carole Malone spitting tax to my right. I don't think either of you are going to agree with Bobby.
You know what, really, I know Bobby really well, who always dresses beautifully, by the way, and yet he's kicking up. These teachers are saying they don't want to be told what they have to wear. They don't want to have to be told they look smart. I mean, how dare they? But the most important thing in all of this is that, you know, they're always going on about how important education is for the children. These teachers don't give a stuff about these kids' education, because they're prepared to walk away for 5 days. For 5 days, and she quietly says, Christmas shopping. It wouldn't surprise me. But, you know, if you care about children's education, if you care about continuity, if you care about preparing them to go into the outside world, discipline is a great thing. The reason lots of young people now, they go into jobs and they're shocked by what they have to do, like do what they're told. It's because they were never taught to follow the rules of school. So they go into the workplace and they think, well, I don't have to do what I'm told.
And also, we're creating a whole generation, Emma, aren't we, of kids that have no resilience, because they never have to do anything they don't want to do.
And they become victims. I'm probably at the most of the sharpest of the sharp end at the moment. I've toured around 30 primary schools. I've got a 3-year-old and I'm choosing his school. And I've toured around 30 primary schools in London in the last few weeks. So it's really interesting to realise what matters to you. And I do want uniform, and I do want discipline, and I do want him to have rules, and I do want him to stand up when teachers enter the room, and I do want him to have academic values and high standards. What is wrong with that? As Carole says, this is about the teachers. This isn't about the students. Like all of these strikes, what really depresses me, the teachers are striking because they don't want to be told what to wear. They don't want to be told to wear a suit. This is absolutely pathetic. What is wrong with saying, Also, there are lots of schools out there. I don't want a school for my son where it's free flow play and where you can do what you want. I do want uniform. I do want standards.
And
everybody has a choice.
And maybe where they call the teacher by Miss or Mr. or rather by the first name.
Where they use books and they have classrooms and desks. They don't just have screens and digital tablets.
Uniforms both for the teacher, and I don't mean a proper uniform, I mean smart, and uniforms for the kids. They're a great leveller. Uniforms for children, what they do is
children love uniforms as well.
Not just that, but they're classless. So you can come from a family that's got very little money, or you can come from a family with a lot, and no one knows, and it's not there as a barrier between children. So I think uniforms are vitally important. But this is about stroppy teachers, exactly, that don't want to be told what to do. They don't want to be told, as Bev said before, to get the joggers off and put something smart on.
Let's bring Bobby and Claire back in just to wrap up then.
Bobby, the stroppy teacher.
Bobby, just coming to you then, as our teacher, they should just all get their marching orders this lot, shouldn't they?
I think so.
No. I think, again, if I was a head teacher, what I would do is I would make sure I consult the staff. And then if you consult them and some of them disagree, that's their call. But if it was
leadership.
I'm going to change the way the school is run. So I think any leader, good leaders need to make sure they bring on board their staff, their people. Again, if you're a politician, a leader of a party, if you go against the grain of your party, you're not going to get their support and you won't be in a position of power. So I think it's about getting their support.
On the children.
You need to get their support. Like in a school, you can't have one teacher against the rest of the staff body.
Bobby, look, as a head teacher, the clue's in the name. It's head, leadership. These are values. These are the reason why the headship is there, to construct a disciplined force of teaching staff that are accountable to the child, to the parent, and to the rest of their staff members. And this is at the crux of it. These are values that have to be given, not a wishy-washy, do you consult on this, do you agree with that? I'm sorry. In life, it should be, from the headship, my way or the highway. And if you don't like it, there's plenty of other schools, I'm sure, that will take you.
Well,
OK, Bobby Seagull, Claire Muldoon, thank you so much. It's such an interesting discussion, and it just has so many tentacles from that issue that affect the whole of society. If you get it right when the kids at school, they're going to be much better adults.
And children prefer it. Children need boundaries. They need to feel secure. I went to a school like that, and it was strict, and we were silent in the corridors. But it's actually quite comforting, especially from children that come from maybe chaotic backgrounds, that don't have much structure. It's very nice to, as Carole says, wear a uniform, to go in on time, to pull your socks up, to take your equipment, to carry your book back.
Do you know what? Love that. The problem is, and some of the parents have said, Carole, that the problem is that they shouldn't be punished. There should be positive motivation, positive reinforcement.
They absolutely should be punished. The world is about, you've got to train kids the difference between right and wrong, and punishment is a way of doing it. I'm not saying beat kids, but there has to be a consequence to bad behaviour. And that's what I feel is not schools anymore.
We've run out of time, but that was a great debate.